The bank laughed at Elon Musk's $500 million request. Then he bought the entire building and forced every employee to quit. What happened next shocked the world. What would you do if a bank rejected your business deal? Walk away? Negotiate? Not. Elon Musk. When a major financial institution dismissed his $500 million loan application with a condescending smirk, the billionaire didn't argue. He didn't plead. Instead, he executed the most ruthless power move in corporate history, one that left Wall Street trembling and the bank's entire staff jobless. But how? And why did the bank's CEO collapse in his office when he realized the truth? Buckle up. This isn't just a story about money. It's about pride, revenge, and the terrifying power of one man who refuses to lose. The morning sun cast long shadows across downtown Austin as Elon Musk's black Tesla Model S pulled up to the gleaming 50-story headquarters of First United Trust. The bank's imposing glass and steel facade reflected centuries of financial tradition, a monument to conservative banking practices and risk-averse decision-making. Inside those hallowed halls, generations of bankers had built fortunes by saying no to anything that smelled of excessive ambition. Musk stepped out of the car with the quiet confidence of a man who had revolutionized multiple industries. His assistant, Gwen Harper, struggled to keep pace while balancing a thick, leather-bound dossier containing what should have been the bank's most exciting opportunity in decades. A $500 million loan proposal to fund SpaceX's next-generation Starship manufacturing facility. This wasn't just another business deal. It was humanity's ticket to becoming a multi-planetary species. The receptionist barely glanced up from her computer screen until she recognized the unmistakable profile of the world's richest man. Her fingers froze over the keyboard. "Mr. Musk, we weren't expecting you today," she stammered, hastily summoning the executive team. Moments later, in the bank's palatial 48th floor boardroom, CEO Robert Vance, a silver-haired Wall Street veteran with 35 years of banking experience, leafed through the proposal with the weary skepticism of a man who had seen countless visionaries come and go. His polished Mont Blanc pen tapped rhythmically against the mahogany table as he reached the section detailing Mars colonization timelines. "Mr. Musk," Vance began, his voice dripping with the condescension only a career banker could muster. "These financial projections are creative. Interplanetary supply chains, lunar refueling stations." He closed the folder with a definitive snap. "This isn't banking. This is science fiction. We deal in tangible assets and proven business models." Musk remained perfectly still, his piercing gaze never leaving Vance's face. "Those numbers represent humanity's future," he said calmly. Vance chuckled, sliding the proposal back across the table. "Then perhaps you should find a bank that specializes in funding fairy tales." The other executives around the table exchanged knowing smiles. The silence that followed was deafening. Musk stood slowly, collected his documents with deliberate precision, and walked out, but not before locking eyes with Vance one last time. That moment would haunt the banker for the rest of his career. Most entrepreneurs would have left that meeting fuming, vowing to take their business elsewhere. Elon Musk left with something far more dangerous, a plan. That same evening, in Tesla's underground Situation Room, a space more reminiscent of NORAD than a corporate office, Musk assembled his most trusted lieutenants. The wall screen displayed a live feed of First United Trust's headquarters. "Gwen," Musk said without turning around, his voice unnervingly calm. "I want every piece of information that exists on First United Trust. Financials, real estate holdings, board member backgrounds, everything. For the next 48 hours, a team of forensic accountants, former intelligence operatives, and corporate investigators worked around the clock. They uncovered a critical vulnerability. The bank's iconic skyscraper wasn't owned by First United at all. It was leased through a complex series of shell companies ultimately controlled by a struggling European real estate conglomerate, one that had quietly been seeking liquidity injections for months. Musk's eyes gleamed with predatory intensity as he reviewed the findings. "How much would it take to acquire the entire property?" he asked. One of his investment bankers swallowed hard. "Sir, even with their financial troubles, we're talking about a prime downtown asset worth nearly—" "I didn't ask for the price," Musk interrupted. "I asked what it would take." Exactly 7 days after the humiliating rejection, Robert Vance arrived at work to a scene of utter chaos. Construction crews in black Tesla-branded uniforms were methodically dismantling the bank's historic brass signage. The lobby's marble floors were covered with protective sheeting, and the air rang with the sound of power tools. "What the hell is going on here?" Vance demanded, his polished Oxfords crunching on debris. His executive assistant came running, her face pale. "Sir, we just received notice that the building's ownership has changed hands. Our lease has been terminated effective immediately." Vance felt the blood drain from his face. "Who would dare?" His phone vibrated with an incoming message. The ice. Screen displayed 2 words that would become his personal nightmare. Attached was a single sentence. "The future always collects its rent. Pack quickly. M." What followed wasn't merely a corporate eviction. It was a systematic dismantling of a centuries-old financial institution. At precisely 8 a.m. the next morning, teams of SpaceX engineers in black uniforms descended on every floor, accompanied by city building inspectors. They declared the electrical systems dangerously outdated, the plumbing not to code, and the entire HVAC system a public health hazard. Trading floors went dark as power was selectively cut. Restrooms were abruptly closed. The building's elevators mysteriously failed inspection. Then came the financial coup de grace. Musk's real estate holding company issued new lease terms, a 300% rent increase, payable immediately, with personal liability clauses for senior management. The board emergency convened via Zoom that evening. Some directors argued for legal action. Others pointed out that Musk now controlled not just their headquarters, but 3 other buildings housing critical back-office operations. The vote was unanimous. First United Trust would vacate immediately. Within 30 days, what had been one of America's most prestigious banks ceased to exist as a functioning entity. Top talent fled to competitors. Major clients withdrew billions in assets. The FDIC quietly began preparing receivership documents. On the final day of operations, Musk personally toured the now empty skyscraper. He paused in what had been Vance's corner office, running his fingers along the empty bookshelves. Gwen handed him a small box containing the brass nameplate they'd pried from the door. Musk examined it thoughtfully before dropping it into a moving crate labeled for storage. "Interesting," he mused. "They thought they were in the banking business." He turned to Gwen as they walked toward the private elevator. "They forgot they were really in the real estate business." This story reveals an uncomfortable truth about 21st century capitalism. The most dangerous competitors aren't always in your industry. The bank's executives spent decades mastering financial regulations and credit risk models, never imagining their existential threat would come from a billionaire who understood something more fundamental: control the infrastructure, and you control the business. First United Trust made the fatal error of judging Musk's vision by their limited imagination. In doing so, they became case study in how quickly institutional arrogance can become institutional collapse. As you read this, somewhere in the world, another Robert Vance is dismissing another Elon Musk. The question is, are you confident you're not that Robert Vance? Your turn. Have you ever witnessed a Musk-level power move in business? Share your stories below. The most shocking example wins a free subscription to our premium newsletter.